Today, I want to talk about boxes in the basement. Some conversations don't feel like interviews. They feel like walking into someone's attic, opening an old trunk, and realizing history has been quietly waiting. Recently, I had the privilege of speaking with a retired teacher from Pennsylvania who has spent years preserving his family's military history. Boxes in his basement, uniforms folded carefully, ribbons still pinned, color slides developed at a time when only one lab in the United States could even process them. And what began as a conversation about memorabilia became something much deeper. His uncle served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. He was stationed at Anahuac at Coral Atoll, and later at Subic Bay in the Philippines. Subic Bay, the same place where my grandfather was stationed. After his uncle passed away in 2001, the family discovered discharge papers tucked away, a Pacific campaign medal, dress blues still intact, an N1 Navy jacket carefully stored in a closet. And by carefully, I mean laying at the bottom of it. But what struck me most weren't the artifacts. It was the humanity in the details. He told me about his uncle, a very tall man, wearing a size 14 shoe, stationed on sharp coral that tore through his footwear daily. He repeatedly asked the supply officer for new boots every single day, until finally, in quiet frustration, he grabbed the officer by the collar and said, "I don't think you understand. I want my shoes." And this was a gentleman. So gentle that in high school he avoided football because he was afraid he might hurt someone. That's the part that stays with me. War doesn't erase who you are. It forces you to adapt who you are. When they couldn't get proper equipment, he improvised. No cement mixer? He built one using salvaged Japanese machinery left behind after the war. Because that was the job at Subic Bay. Rebuilding the base during the war as well as after, turning ruin into infrastructure, making a viable naval base out of devastation. Even after the war officially ended, there were still dangers. Hidden soldiers, a rifle discovered with a Japanese soldier still attached to it. War doesn't always end cleanly just because a document is signed. But the family's story didn't begin in World War II. His grandfather was a Canadian engineer during World War I. His unit built temporary, narrow-gauge railroads used to bring supplies to the trenches. They repaired barbed wire. They constructed bridges, often under fire. And on the final day of the war, November 11, 1918, his battalion fought as infantry in Mons, Belgium. Even on the last day, even when the armistice was hours away, history didn't pause just because peace was coming. After World War I, Jim's father became an architect, and during World War II, he helped design the LCM, the Landing Craft Mechanized, the vessels used to deliver tanks onto the beaches of Normandy. Think about that. One generation building rail lines under fire. The next, designing the craft that would carry armored vehicles onto D-Day beaches. War changes shape, but service continues. His own father served as an Army combat engineer in World War II, and after the war, he became the first in the family to graduate from college through the GI Bill. That part matters, because war doesn't just create destruction. Sometimes it creates access, education, opportunity, a new trajectory for a family line. He also shared stories from his church, a former prisoner of war who once said it wasn't anything like Hogan's Heroes. There was no comedy, there was no charm, there were forced marches, no food, men curling up in the cold and dying. There were stories of stranded servicemen who couldn't get paid because their records were lost, and the Red Cross refusing to give them playing cards. Small moments, but they lingered. He told me about a letter describing sitting beneath the only tree on an atoll, about a wife who came to America at 16 with $50 and a jar of peanut butter, about love cut short by illness during the war. These are not textbook stories, these are basement stories. And as I listened, I kept thinking about my own grandfather. He was stationed at Subic Bay during World War II. Hearing about the coral, the graders, the rebuilding, the long days of waiting, the lost records, it made history feel closer, not political, not abstract, human. It made me feel like I was brushing up against something I never fully understood about him. War isn't just battles and headlines. It's shoes wearing out on coral. It's improvising tools. It's temporary railroads laid towards trenches. It's landing craft designed on drafting tables. It's engineers who fight as infantry on the last day of war. It's waiting for pay that doesn't come. It's rebuilding what someone else destroyed. It's men who didn't talk much about it afterwards. There's still boxes in that basement. Slides, letters, jackets, medals, and in those boxes is something more than memorabilia. It's continuity. It's inheritance. Sometimes the past isn't in textbooks. It's in basements, in folded uniforms, in quiet men who never told the full story. And sometimes all it takes is one conversation to begin opening the box.